Hi everyone, I wanted to share this story with you because it basically pissed me off. Muslims are offended at National Anthem. They say it's forcing them to, basically we'll just say, enforcing democratic values. So this is in Australia. It says everybody's favorite militant and oppressive yet somehow peace-loving culture of religious immigrants is back in the news. Last week we reported on things getting serious in the UK. Today it's all about Great Britain's former colony of criminals, Australia. Yep, after escaping to Down Under and Western freedom, a glut of Islamists now declare Australia has no right to ask Muslims to sing the national anthem or value the democratic principles of Western citizenship. This according to Islamic activist group, I can't pronounce it, looks like his butt to rear, against Australia because they believe the country is enforcing democratic values and a disrupted view of history which contradicts Islamic beliefs. Everything offends these people. I'm sure we've already figured this out. Requiring school children to sing the national anthem and the citizenship pledge supporting democratic values are a part of oppressive campaign by Australian authorities of forced assimilation of the Muslim community. That's what they're supposed to do, is assimilate where they're at. Well, if there's one culture that knows a thing or two about forced assimilation, it would be Islam. Mr. Badr goes on to insist that this supposed oppression is due to an exaggerated fear of a security threat. Yeah, because someone who represents a belief system with a history of violence while giving the finger to democracy from inside your own borders is totally absurd thing to be concerned about. Personally, I think Mr. Badr is just ticked off because he thinks the government got their indoctrination process started before he could start this. Okay, let's go back to, I'm going to show you a page where it shows what you're supposed to do to become a U.S. citizen. Hold on one second here. Okay, let's see. USA Citizenship and Naturalization Code. How to become a U.S. citizen. And we're just going to go through this, real quickly. Who is eligible by birth or naturalization, green card holders. You must be at least 18 years old. You must have been lawfully admitted into the United States for permanent residence, have a green card. Individuals who have been lawfully admitted as permanent residents will be asked to produce an I-551 alien registration card receipt as proof of their status. Their residence and physical presence, they have to be here at least 5 years, or at least 30 months out of the previous 5 years. If their absence is more than 6 months but less than a year, it will disrupt their continuity of residence. And here it goes through good moral character. Attachment to the Constitution. You must show that you are attached to the principles of the Constitution of the United States. And then it talks about language. You must be able to read, write, speak, and understand words in ordinary usage in the English language, unless you have a reason, basically an impairment, that you do not have the ability to learn English. United States government and history knowledge. You have to know the principles of the government of the United States. Goes through a quick guide about being fingerprinted, etc. Oath of allegiance. By taking the oath of allegiance, you swear to support the Constitution, obey the laws of the U.S., renounce any foreign allegiance and or foreign title, and bear arms for the United States, armed forces of the U.S., or perform services for the government of the United States when required. An exception is if you have a religious belief that you do not serve for any armed forces, but you could do non-combatal. The oath of allegiance. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or city of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, and I will support and defend the Constitution of the laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by law, and I will perform non-combat service in the armed forces of the United States when required by law. and I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction and when required by law, and I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, so help me God. In some cases, USCIS allows the oath to be taken without the clauses, and I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by law, that I will perform non-combat services in the armed forces of the United States when required by law. That's when it's a religious belief not to serve in any armed forces. Getting back to the whole national anthem quibble, Mr. Badar asks, if you don't share those values, why should they, Muslim children in parentheses, should be forced to sing it? Believe it or not, Mr. Badar does veer into a valid question, although he mistakenly thinks it lends credence to his argument. If our Western leaders would take the time to remove their heads from a certain sunless location, they might realize what this question actually implies. If Muslims don't share our values, why would they want to migrate to a democratic country? If they reject democracy in favor of continued Muslim/Sharia culture, they're not really fleeing from that society at all. Why would we want people like that inside our borders? Mr. Badar also makes another crucial point when he states, the attempt to reform Islam is doomed to failure. Truer words have never been spoken. Sharia living is inseparable from Islam. To any Muslim who wants to live under the Quran will tell you. The so-called Western Muslims are keeping quiet about all of these bad Muslims, either because they are in abject denial about true Islam, in outright disobedience, which would be a death sentence, or secretly supportive. Either way, it's past time Western leaders took the page out of Islam's dedication and started identifying liberty-centric principles to stand up for exactly what democracy is and is not. Anyone who wants to stand on our side of the line is welcome. Anyone who doesn't can go back home and rape your own women and embrace global hate. I agree. I mean, after all, did they come here to change us into them? Or are they actually going to be one of us, stand with us, and change to our side? I think basically they're just trying to change us into them. Well, thanks for watching.